Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk deer identification and behavior. Let's begin. I came across these two deer behind one of my warehouses. Now immediately we can tell a lot about them based on their mannerisms and their actions. Let's play that back and go over it. The first thing to note is that before I even approach, the one on the right is already standing, and the one on the left is slow to get up. So that tells us that the one on the right is probably the older one, as it's demonstrating more survival characteristics, and the one on the left is being more naive. Next, we'll notice as I approach, the one on the right starts to move away from me. Now, one thing to note that these are city deer. They're used to humans, so they're not as skittish as I'd expect in the bush, but you can still see a difference in their behavior. This deer here on the left really isn't showing any signs that it is uncomfortable with the situation. Next, I'm going to slowly approach them, and you're going to notice two very different reactions to my approach. Just watch and see what they're doing. Did you catch that difference? I'm going to play it back. Watch closely as the one on the right takes a more defensive stance as it raises its chest towards me, and the one on the left seeks shelter behind the other deer. This attitude tells us a lot about their age. And now let's take a pause while they're side by side, and there's a few things we can look at. Now first, the one on the left is definitely smaller. You can see how the one on the right stands much taller. Next, if we look at eye placement to nose placement, you'll see the one on the left, the eyes look more centered, whereas the one on the right, the eyes feel set further back. That's because as their nose continues to grow as they get older, that eye placement feels further back. Makes sense, right? Based on this, I feel quite confident that the one on the left is a younger fawn and the one on the right is an older doe. Now let's talk male or female fawn. I'm taking this video in the winter, so we can't use antlers as a good indicator because the deer will lose their antlers in the fall and don't regrow them until the spring. So what can we look at? Well, let's play that back just a little bit. One thing we can use is head shape. A male deer is going to have a flatter head. That is going to allow for those antlers to grow out, whereas a female deer is going to have a more circular head. We would also expect to see some lumps or buttons as the antlers are starting to develop. From this, we don't see any of that, and that head looks like a circle. Now, looking at the deer on the right, it's a little tougher. That neck is quite thick, which could indicate a male. However, when we look at the shape of the head, it is quite round too. And as the deer turns its head, I don't see any buttons from where the antlers used to be. Based on that, I believe we have a female doe. Another tip is that it's far more common to see a doe with a fawn together as a pair, and far more likely to see a brave buck out on its own. Now let's talk some hunting tips. First, let's talk which one should we harvest. Now the general rule is if you have a high deer population and you want to thin out the herd, take out the older doe. And if you have a thin deer population and you want to increase the numbers, take out the younger doe. Why is that? Well, the older doe is more likely to repeatedly have successful births. After all, she is older for a reason. The older animal has more awareness and survival instinct, meaning predator avoidance. So if this animal is proven that she is capable of surviving for a long time and has had successful births in the past, she is more likely to keep doing so, thus increasing the population. The young fawn has yet to prove her fertility and survival skill, thus being less likely than the older deer to avoid predators and survive giving birth, therefore having less guarantee to increase the herd. When talking kill shots, we always want to aim immediately behind the shoulder. We have about an 8-inch window for a clean, quick, humane kill shot. We want to target the heart and lungs for a quick kill. Avoid aiming for the rear half of the deer or the head, as we are more likely to cause a prolonged death with more suffering, something no hunter wants. If you are not sure of your shot, don't shoot. It's that simple. Don't take unnecessary risks. It's better to let the deer get away and try another time than to take an unsure shot. Now, one thing to note is as it turns its body, we have to adjust the positioning of our shot accordingly. As this deer turns away from me, I'm going to need to aim a little bit lower back to make sure that we have that penetration through the lungs and heart. That being said, our best shot is one when they are completely broadside or turned directly sideways looking over at us. That's it for today. I'm going to play this interaction back one more time uninterrupted for you. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my assessment? If you like what you see, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Until next time, stay wild.